If you don't deserve anything else.
Yeah, there we go. We're lucky. I'm gonna call the safety committee back to order. I'm out of practice with that, sorry. Way out of practice with that. I'm gonna call the safety committee back to order. You got a president, myself, Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Cost, Mr. Hauser, Ms. Blind, and Mr. Rath. I know some of you spoke earlier. A lot of you spoke during council meeting as well. Is there anyone else that wanted to speak? This evening I got two, somebody, go to the first man, please. Say, come to the, yeah, come to, please state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Ann Roach, actually in Westerville now, but I've been practicing as an attorney in this community for the last going on 6 years, and Newark is my hometown. I was not planning on speaking today, but I did want to just reiterate a few things. We heard from a lot of scared and or angry homeowners talking about people being on their property. This ordinance has nothing to do with that. This ordinance only talks about public property. So people's feeling of safety, which I will note is different than safety, feeling of sense of safety is a lot different than actual safety, has nothing to do with this ordinance. They have every right and can and do call and press criminal trespass charges if people are on their property. What this ordinance seems to be about, how it is written currently, is getting rid of the site of the quote unquote problem of homeless people. As it is written, it is literally criminalizing a state of being in deep poverty. Council keeps talking about how sending people to jail will give them resources. I would love for them to name some resources because they do not exist. The only thing this ordinance will do, even if it's usually used with discretion, the only thing it will do is send people to jail. They will definitely lose a job if they somehow had one. They will come out still homeless, still jobless, with a criminal record, and a further barrier from getting housing in the future. We see this for what this is. Please, if you really want to help people, or at least reduce homelessness, you will seek input from people on the ground and experiencing homelessness to make this work. Thank you.
Say your name and address for the record, and then
Yes, I know the rules.
3 minutes.
Stephen Smith, 420, was about to give you my old address, having lived there for 15 years. 237 Violet Court, Newark, Ohio. I may have missed it, or misunderstood something here, but, Mr. Hickman talked about 48-hour notice for the, nowhere in the ordinance that I see. Specifically, the ordinance says that any, after, the penalty is for 4th degree misdemeanor for a minor misdemeanor for first offense and a 4th degree for each subsequent offense. The penalty is listed in this section of the code, which does allow for jail time after the first offense. First offense is is each day, or after that is each day. I'm having trouble squaring out that 48 hours thing. As a number of people have said, it's not only inhumane, it's expensive. It doesn't make sense from a monetary standpoint alone. It's not going to solve the problem. It's going to probably won't even sweep it out of sight. At the last meeting, Mr. Cost gave a list of a number of things that relate to this problem and cause it to be a problem. One of the things that I don't think, maybe I missed it, but I don't think it said, was simply the fact that there is not enough housing. This is something that was brought up in the task force meeting we participated in. The fact is that there just isn't the resources available at the moment. Doesn't seem to be any will among the city council to work toward that. And until that happens, the problem is going to continue. Now, I just want to finish by saying, every one of us here, every single one of us here, is just one health emergency from being homeless. Whatever has been going on to address the problem so far is not working. It's getting worse. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Yes, sir. Name it and address for the record, please, sir.
Charles Lamb, 7853 George Street, Alexandria, but I also am in Newark at 3710 Bannon Avenue working. There's a few challenges here, and I've heard so much, back and forth, and I have family that are addicts as well. And, I've came to Beth, I've worked with Beth side by side. And I hear a lot about what the police are gonna do and this and that, but a lot of people don't understand that, actually, let me go back. I'm retired military. The guy that was actually back here was my recruiter. I didn't come up and tell him anything until I spoke to him out there. I also joined the fire service. And the thing is people don't understand that we as first responders are taking away from other folks that are going through a life emergency because of the drugs, because of the addiction that these guys are going through. And that's a big thing. And when they start getting police involved and everything else, they're understaffed. Let's be real. You have maybe, the chief's back there, and I'm not gonna point, ask them or anything like that, but 5 to 8 officers with a community that's probably 40 or 50,000. That's the population here. To officers is tremendous. So I have a challenge for you guys up here, is to seek, when your ward, go out and take a gander, take a walk through a bike path or through a facility that people have complained about, and get your eyes on something that not only myself, not only Beth Blind, and I'm not saying none of you guys have done this. What I'm saying is there's a lot of folk that haven't come here today because they're afraid to speak on podium, or B, the backlash and everything else. But take a look and see what we see as individuals out here on the outside. And I'm not saying you guys haven't done it, but ask yourselves, if you have children, do you want your child walking the bike path at, 12, 13, 14, because that's what kids are doing now, or going and playing, in somebody's backyard with their friends, and then bam, there's a needle on the ground. What's the first thing that they're gonna try to do as a kid? They're gonna, little boys, they're picking up rocks and slinging rocks. What's to say they pick up a needle? It's unacceptable. Challenge yourselves and think about that, because if it was my child and I had to deal with that, I'm looking at you guys because I'm holding you guys accountable to run this, the city, the county and everything else. But B, I'm holding the individuals that we are giving, sympathy for, I should say, access for everything free. I shouldn't have to go out every day and work my butt off for these folks that get everything or steal everything or do anything and they want and their passion to take from me. That's what I will say. Thank you.
All right.
Am I allowed to speak?
Go ahead. Let me go. Go first and go right back, right? Thank you.
Hi. I'm Renee Smith, I live at 25 North 31st Street. I wasn't gonna talk, but then I was invited to talk, so here I am gonna talk. Forgive me if I stutter, because I'm hungry, and God bless you guys for sitting here through dinner. So I grew up in a hardworking middle-class family. That my stepdad raised me and my mom raised me with ethical views of you work hard for what you get, and that's what you get, you get what you get. So when I became an addict and I put a needle in my arm, my mom and dad were very sad. They were very upset. They did not know what to do. It is because of criminal charges that I came here to lift court. And it saved my life. And I have been clean for almost 5 years on October 18th. Saying all of that, my criminal record is from stealing. It is from drug utensil instruments. It is from stealing a friend's car and wrecking it and totaling it. It is not because I was homeless. I get the privilege to help those on the streets with my church. We go out and we help, and we are some of those that do hand out, and then we do pick up trash. There is a problem. There absolutely is a problem. I don't know that I ever would have got clean had I not gotten in trouble. But I do know that a lot of people that we serve, they don't get high. They don't use, they really are hard up. And this ordinance, I think, is, maybe our city trying to go in the right direction of cleaning up the streets and all of that. I definitely applaud all the homeowners coming out, and I can imagine I know how scary it is. I pay extra for rent because I don't want to live out east where I used to live. I don't want to live where I used to live. I applaud our council people for going out and walking and putting, boots on the streets to help clean up. But I don't see, from an addict standpoint, from a mother standpoint, from a city, from a citizen of Newark standpoint, I don't feel that this ordinance is the step in the right direction. So I gotta pass.
Name and address for the record.
Melissa Anderson, 196 Fairfield Avenue. Once again, I was not planning to say anything. I tried to be quiet, but I wanted to say first, thank you, Ms. Wine, for calling me last week. I'm sorry I haven't had a chance to connect it, but I look forward to talking with you. I think that we would all agree that more than one thing can be true at once, right? We've got two different issues here. We want to keep people safe. Homeowners deserve to be safe. Our children deserve to be safe on the bike path and in parks. That's one issue. And then we have an issue of homelessness in Licking County. And I think that anybody that works for a nonprofit like I do would be able to tell you that the faces of homelessness are vast and different. There's not a cookie cutter answer. There are the people that you see on the street with a needle in their arm. And then there are families that are displaced because their property owner sold their home. We're working with a family right now, property owner sold their home. And they're paying $1,200 a month, and now they can't find anything in their price range because we don't have enough affordable housing in Licking County. And so this family is essentially homeless and living in a hotel until we can help them get connected with the right resources. One of the things that I love about our 501c3s, I know that we've heard a lot tonight about how we are contributing to the problem, but I love that we collaborate. Our agency collaborates with every nonprofit in Licking County that's working with this population. And we are seeing good results. I can tell you success story after success story of how these collaborative efforts are working. And so I just would like to issue the challenge to you guys that maybe we have a roundtable. Licking County Coalition of Care. Sorry. I would like to issue a challenge that perhaps we have a roundtable discussion with City Council, that we bring together the agencies that are collaborating to become part of the solution. And come up with an answer, because this ordinance is not going to get rid of homelessness in Licking County. There are still going to be homeless in Licking County. That's not, they can't leave. They don't have the resources to leave. And contrary to popular belief, there are no buses coming into the county and dropping off homeless people. I hear this all the time. There are no buses. Because if there were buses, why aren't we busing them out? There are no buses. But I would like to just extend an invitation. I know that I can speak for many nonprofit directors like myself in Licking County that we would love to have conversations, to look for a solution to this problem that actually makes sense. And I'm not even saying that the legislation is good or bad. I just don't think it's the answer. Thank you.
So I have, still on the table. Good. I still have a motion by Mr. Rath and a motion, or a second by Mr. Hauser from earlier. To take this to a vote. Committee, do we have anything else to say?
Yes,
Mr. Rath?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I appreciate that. So we talked about a lot of different things tonight. We know that we have an officer shortage. And we know that our police officers are extremely overworked. And we are working on a solution for that issue as well. Different issues, but we are working on a solution for that issue as well. Hopefully, we'll have some type of resolution in the near future. You said this legislation was not the answer. I'd agree with you. It's absolutely not the answer. I would absolutely agree with you. And if nothing else, this legislation should have sparked enough or created a spark to regenerate discussion amongst city officials as well as all the social services that are out there helping these people. And I hope that if nothing else, it did that. We do have a problem with housing. We do have a problem with affordable housing. We do have a problem with drugs. And we do have a problem with mental issues. And we're very well aware. The city is not going to provide affordable housing. It's not our role. It's not what city government does. It's just not our role. Somebody earlier said something about the basket. Why don't we put them in the law and murder basket? Awesome. Go buy it. Set it up as a motel. Put people in there. It's that simple, right? We're not gonna buy it. Somebody wants to do that, go buy it. Set up as a motel, put people in there. That's an awesome idea. I just don't think anybody's gonna fund that. It's just not realistic. But maybe it is, who knows? Jackson Hollis, the young boy that came up here to speak, said not everybody's bad. I would agree with him wholeheartedly on it. The two things that the big word that I've got written here. Oh, before I go any further, we were talking about. There's been a lot of people come up and said, well, we want to do this service and we want to do that service and we're providing this and we should be providing this and we should be providing that. One guy even came up and said, is this going to prevent me from preaching the gospel to people? That's ridiculous. I'm sorry, but that's just ridiculous. Nobody's going to stop him from doing that. If he wants to do that, great. If he has a problem with somebody trying to stop him from doing that, let me know. I'll come and take care of it. Because I wouldn't want that stopped either. This issue, this legislation is not going to prevent that from happening in any way, shape, or form. But like Mr. Hollis said, not everybody's bad, but some are. We can help a lot of people, some we can't. There are people out there that are taking advantage of services and getting the help they need and moving on. We've helped a lot of people. And we're going to continue to help a lot of people. There are some that we can't. Discretion is the biggest word that I wrote down here. When there's somebody camping on public land, first off, we're not going to respond to that. The city, in any way, shape, or form, whether it be property maintenance or the law, the police officers are not going to respond to that until there's a complaint. When there's a complaint, property maintenance is probably first to go out there. They don't have arrest capabilities. They're going to go out there and say, you got to go. can't camp here, you gotta go. We want you to be compliant. If they're not compliant, then they're gonna issue a warning and say, look, we're gonna come in here, since you haven't left, we're gonna come in here in 48 hours and we're gonna clean this place up. Gotta go. If there's issues there with drugs or mental illness, or there seems to be a threat of safety to either our officers or the tenants there, they're gonna call the police department. The police department's gonna come in and they're going to insist on compliance. But they still have discretion. If they insist upon compliance, and I'm telling you, there's a big difference between somebody out there in jeans and a t-shirt for property maintenance saying, you gotta go, and a law enforcement officer standing there in a uniform with guns in. That tends to get a little bit more compliance when faced with that. If there's somebody that needs to be brought in for whatever reason, because they're a threat, because they're a threat to themselves, or a hazard to themselves, or a threat to those around that person, they can bring them in, and our law director has discretion. They may or may not, she may or may not, her department may or may not decide to press charges against that person. If you can get them to a place where they can get their mental illness under control, or their drug addiction at least starting to be treated, then she may choose not to press charges. And if she does decide to press charges, you still have to go to a judge, before a judge, where a judge can say, I'm going to dismiss these charges. I know that you had this problem, you've come this far, you've improved, you've become compliant, I'm going to dismiss your charges because I don't want you to have a criminal record. Or that judge may say, I want you to go to a rehab clinic, and I want you to get dry, I want you to get sober. Come back to me 30 days, I get a report, whatever the days are, I get a report that says that you've been compliant, I'll dismiss the charges. It's a tool that allows us to work with those who need more than just somebody walking up and saying, look, you can't be here, go away. It's just another tool to work with. It does not mean that it's an end all be all. It's not the answer to homelessness. It's not criminalizing homelessness as a one foul swoop. It doesn't mean that the services that are available today and additional services that could be available tomorrow are going to go away. It doesn't mean that at all. It's just another tool that we can use. And because of that, I believe that we should pass this, and I will call the question.
All right, with Brad has called the question, we will take this to a vote. Just as a reminder, this is a vote to take this to in front of full council. If this were to pass, it would be read twice. That would be October 7th would be the first reading, where the legislation would just be read. And then October 21st, if this passes on, is where the legislation would be voted on to become law at that time. So again, this is just a vote to take this in front of full council for a vote in 4 or 5 weeks-ish on October 21st. So with all of them, for all those that are in favor of taking this to full council, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yay, the same sign.
Aye.
That passes 4-1. So that will pass out of this committee. It will go before council. The first reading again will be October 7th. The final second reading and where we'll take the vote will be October 21st. Both of those are Mondays. With that closes this safety committee meeting. I appreciate all your time and effort and input. Here it's
I won't have that.
You know, you know, we're gonna-
If I can remember, it's been. Yeah.